So welcome back, friends, to another exciting episode of the Common Man's, what are we calling this? The Common Man's How to Put a Shop Together for the Common Man. And the next thing I thought would be logical to accompany our cribbing video is jacks. And jacks pretty much fall into two categories, I think, for the common guy. It's going to be your bottle jack as well as your floor jack. Both of those are a necessity. But what's interrupted that is I have a problem here. For the life of me, I cannot figure out a solution. I'm at a loss. This is like the third time that I've tried it. Let me take you over to the vise and show you what's going on here. I'm hoping that one of you has a solution that can fix this problem. For this video, this morning I was rounding up all my bottle jacks that I have, and keeping with the theme of everything, a guy doesn't need, how many bottle jacks does a guy need for the common guy? I would say, probably one. If you have equipment, maybe two, maybe one large and one small. And this was my main one because it was such a good jack. I'm guessing, I can't see from the label anymore, but I think it's probably a 10-ton jack, maybe a 15-ton, probably a 10. Right there it says, is that right there? I think that is 10. So what happened was when I had my Jeep wrecking yard, this came in one of the Jeeps that I bought at the auction. And it was really a nice jack. It's USA made, and it had a bunch of military markings on it. So I don't know if it was for the military or whatever, but it was built by the US Jack Company. And USA jacks are so good. Don't confuse the Japanese ones, or the Chinese ones and the ones made overseas to be anywhere near comparable. A jack like this, if it's taken care of, will last you multiple lifetimes for casual use. Unfortunately, what happened here is that I had this thing screwed out. These bottle jacks, to get a little bit more height, this whole top section will screw in and out so you can adjust them and get a little bit more range with them. I had this screwed all the way out, and it was in my toolbox, my weather guard toolbox in the back of the old Ford for a long time, I guess for a winter, and this is absolutely rusted shut. It doesn't look super rusted, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how to get this loose. Because here's the problem. The cylinder here has a smooth bore on it, which rotates freely inside the jack body. And then this portion here, of course, is rusted to it. And then the top section here, the little foot, it rotates as well. So I thought, well, the first thing I need to do is I need to get a hold of this, and I can't put this in the vise because this it's got to remain a smooth surface, or it will develop a leak. So I put a strap wrench on it to hold it the best I could. That didn't work. I even took it over to the vise, and I put these 1/4-inch aluminum plates because aluminum is softer than the steel, and I squeezed this as hard as I dare to get this loose, and still it won't go. Let me show you kind of what I had going on here, and maybe you can give me somebody can give me some advice on how to fix this. So I put these two aluminum guys in here and bent this to it. This is going to be tricky to do with one hand, or here. I want to get as much of that in there as we can, right? Boy, sometimes a third hand would be nice, wouldn't it? All right, so let's get as much surface area contacting this as possible. I want to get it. Okay, I'm going to do as tight as I dare. You can see this has got to turn to the right to go in, and I can't. I cannot. This is pretty tight as well. This should spin a lot freer than it does, but I can't get a hold of anything. I tried to get a hold of these teeth, and then that's starting to mar, and if I mar it, it's not going to go in. I've put penetrating oil on it. I've let it set for weeks. I've put a little bit of heat on it, not too crazy where it would get in and melt any O-rings, but I'm at a complete loss. I don't know what else to do with it other than I just don't know. So please, if you can give me some ideas on how to fix this thing, I would love to know it, because it's just not very useful in this height, because it's with this thing up, because it's just too high to get under anything. I haven't been able to use it since this stuck. So let's go, let me show you, we finished up a couple little things on the cribbing. I'll show you real quick, and then well, hopefully we'll get a solution for this, and then we'll get going on the jack video. In addition to the cribbing, I put together a little trailer chalking setup, which is of the same vein. All these are 4x4s that are cut to 12 inches in length with the holes in the rope drilled in them, and these are for chalking wheels. A 4x4 works pretty good for that. That's what I've always used, and it seems to work for pretty much any size tire. Most of your trailer tires are going to be 15-inch. I haven't seen really too many outside of that, but that's kind of the kit. And in addition to that, just a heavy chunk of 8x8 for the tongue jack. Because if you try to crank the jack that lifts the tongue up off the ball, it will push into the dirt. And if you just use a 2x4, sometimes like this, it'll break. So if you have a lightweight trailer, something that doesn't have a tremendous tongue weight, you can get away with this. I just built one for that, and then I'll keep an extra one around, a heavy one for the heavy trailers if you have equipment and things on it. But that's kind of the trailer kit. So the idea, for your lightweight deal is you could kind of stack these guys together right here, and then when you have a trailer that you need to chalk up, you can grab these three things and you're good to go. You got everything you need. Now, if these are going to be used for extended periods of time, you're going to be leaving the chocks in them for a long time. Make sure that you use pressure treated ground contact wood so it'll last a lot longer. I'm not in a case like that. Where I keep it, it's flat. I don't need to chalk it. So, but that's going to be the trailer kit. I also put together wedges. Now, these are the most common sizes that I have, or the sizes that I have found to be the most useful. This guy actually is one that I keep on my workbench that I use all the time for things, for holding things up, or if you have something you're trying to work on that's wobbling, that's maybe an odd shape. I can't go into all the details where you would use these, but it's worked out very good. Sorry, I forgot my tape, but the dimensions of this here, it's a 6 inches by 2.5. And I built a couple of those. So this one was not out of hardwood. It was just a old chunk of fir. So I made these out of some, I think it's hickory. So those would be really tough. Also a couple door stops. These are very similar. These are, roughly 6 inches or so by an inch thick. You can rip these guys together. These are super handy for really small bench work. I actually use these for when I'm sharpening axes because they, sometimes the handles are lower and you want the thing to be straight. So I'll use that to shim it up. Those little guys are very handy. So it's a pretty nice combination to have those two wedges. I think for most things, it's going to work out just fine for you. So I would add these to the Common Man's cribbing kit. If you work on some bigger stuff, you can't go wrong with some bigger wedges like this. These turned out to be 9 inches or so, 9 by 4 roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect, but sometimes if you've got to get something and hold it in there or prop it in there, oftentimes when you're in a bind and you're worried about getting crushed or hurt by something, these can kind of really save the day to have them around and use them for everything. So I would start with these guys for sure, make the little ones, and then this is nothing more than a 4x4 cut down to 8 inches on the chop saw, draw a line from point to point, and then take your skill saw and just run it down there across that line. It's not going to go all the way through, so you can flip it over and cut the other side as well, and then just take your belt sander, because those blades are never going to come together, those two curves. Take your belt sander and smooth them off. You want those to be flat so they come into contact with everything. So what I'm thinking we'll probably do here is, as we're going through methodically and getting our shop all sorted out, a place for everything, and everything has its place, right? Is that how it goes? So the cribbing, I like keep things together so it's not confusing, and wedges and stuff, and then we'll have it all neatly organized and we'll know where it's at. What would probably make most sense for our next project is going to be, well, of course, the jacks and recovery equipment, chains and straps and binders and stuff. So what I'll probably do is, once we get everything pared down and all of the jacks repaired, which I have about 3 of them to repair. We're going to rebuild a floor jack, or we're going to attempt to. I'll do a video on that because those are steels. And what happens is, I'm talking about floor jacks. A USA made floor jack. If you were to go to Snap-on right now, And to buy a 2.5 ton, which is what you're going to want, floor jack, you're looking at, it's close to $1,000 for a USA made jack. That's $750, I think is what I saw online. At garage sales, you're going to see these things, and like one my granddad had was from the 40s and never did anything, you know, add a little oil once in a while. These jacks, you see them all the time, that they're 10 and 20 bucks. And this is the equivalent of a modern day $750 jack, probably a better jack, in all honesty. And usually there's one thing wrong with them, and that's or two things. They're low on oil, or they have air in the system. And I'll show you how to drain that, because I got to thinking about it. Like, I've got a Snap-on jack over there that I bought secondhand from a guy that had an auto shop when I was just getting started in my business, and I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford to buy a new jack, and I needed one. He was getting rid of his old ones because they were kind of wearing out, and bought new ones, and I bought them from him. And one of them has always worked, and the other one never has. And I just always thought in my mind that it needed a complete cylinder rebuild. But I got to thinking about that last night. I'm like, I don't know if I ever really checked to see if it just had air in the system. So we'll put those up on the bench. We'll go through them and service them. I'll show you how to. There's very little you need to do to get them going, but I can show you what's probably going to fix 90% of the jacks that you come across on the secondhand market. And man, that'd be something to get a good USA jack, 2-ton, 3-ton for you know, 40, 50 bucks. So we'll do that. Let me know on that if you have any solutions for coming up with that or fixing that jack screw, because I cannot think of anything. I'm at a loss. It's to the point now where I'm just going to have to get rid of it because I'm not keeping around stuff that's just not useful anymore. I would love to have it in my jack collection, but that's where we're at. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the thumbs up. Also, one quick note, YouTube, I think it was yesterday or the day before, has just rolled out a new feature called Stories. And what they've essentially done is ripped off Instagram. But now on the feed, I can load like, I don't know if it's 15 seconds or maybe 30-second videos and clips to the feed. And that's going to be kind of nice. So I can give you little previews and heads up, or just when I have little interesting things that may not make it into a video, it might be fun. So I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but we'll try it. I put one up today showing the really cool waterproof connector that finally came in that I'm going to use for the adventure van that I had a devil of a time finding, but after looking at it, I did a little quick video on it. You might find that interesting. It's really nice. It's really nice. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll have a good weekend. Happy Sabbath, and we'll see you guys on the next one.